Okay, so Denmark is pointing a finger directly at Russia, and they're making some incredibly serious accusations. We're talking about a destructive and disruptive cyber campaign. We're going to break down exactly what went down, why Danish officials are calling it a hybrid war, and, what this might mean for the rest of Europe.
And this quote right here, this is what sets the whole tone. Denmark's defense minister, Trails Lund Poulsen, is not mincing words. He's essentially saying, you know that theoretical threat we've been talking about for years? Well, it's here. For Denmark, this isn't a drill anymore. The fight has already started.
So, what exactly happened? What pushed Denmark to make such a public and, frankly, forceful accusation? Well, it all boils down to two specific cyber attacks that hit right at the heart of their society. And this is why this whole thing is so alarming. It's where the digital world smashes right into the physical one. This wasn't just about stealing data or crashing a website. No, a hacker actually took remote control of a water utility in a town called Køge, messed with the pump pressure, and made pipes physically burst. We're talking about tangible, real-world damage to critical infrastructure. Okay, so let's get into the specifics laid out by the Danish Defence Intelligence Service, or DDIS. First, you had that destructive attack on the water utility in late 2024, which they've pinned on a group called Z-Pentest. Then, almost a year later, a wave of DDoS attacks. That's when you just flood a website with traffic until it collapses, hit their municipal elections. That was attributed to another group, no name 057116. And here's the kicker. The DDIS says both of these groups have links to the Russian state. The reaction from Copenhagen was fast and serious. You have to understand, summoning a foreign ambassador, that's a huge deal in diplomatic circles. It's a formal way of saying this is completely unacceptable. This wasn't some quiet investigation. It was a very loud, very public statement. Now here's the thing. Denmark isn't looking at these as just random acts of cybercrime. Not at all. They're putting them into a much bigger box, a deliberate strategy that they are calling a hybrid war. So what do they even mean by hybrid war? Well, according to the Danish intelligence assessment, it's a war fought on multiple fronts, just not with tanks and soldiers. It's about using tools like cyber attacks and disinformation to create chaos and insecurity inside a country. And a huge motive they've identified? To punish Western nations for supporting Ukraine. And this slide really breaks down how Danish intelligence sees that strategy. They don't see these pro-Russian hacker groups as independent actors. No, they see them as instruments, tools of the state. These attacks are just one piece of a bigger campaign to weaken Western resolve. And of course, elections are the perfect stage to get the most attention and create the most doubt. And here it is, the money quote, direct from the DDIS. There is no ambiguity here. They are stating, plain as day, that they believe these groups are being used as weapons in a wider conflict with the West. So the bottom line is, this is being treated as a state-on-state action. Now, if this were only happening in Denmark, it would be alarming enough, right? But what really makes this significant is that officials in Denmark and elsewhere are seeing a pattern. This isn't a one-off. And that is the key point. What happened in Denmark doesn't exist in a vacuum. To really get the full picture, you have to look at what was happening in neighboring countries at almost the exact same time. Get this. Just a few days before Denmark went public, Germany summoned the Russian ambassador for almost the exact same thing. Reports from UPI confirmed it. Germany was accusing Moscow of a cyber attack on its air traffic control and trying to interfere in its general elections. I mean, the timing is pretty hard to ignore. And when you put the two cases side by side like this, wow, the playbook becomes crystal clear. Both incidents in December 2025. Both involved attacks on critical national infrastructure. Both involved election interference. This parallel is exactly why officials are talking about a coordinated strategy, not just a bunch of random events. And just like in Denmark, the language coming out of Germany was serious. Their foreign ministry flat out said that these actions were a direct threat to German security. This takes it way beyond being just an IT problem and puts it squarely in the realm of national security. So, all of this, the burst pipes, the election meddling, these parallel accusations, it's a massive wake-up call. It really forces us to ask some pretty tough questions about our own vulnerabilities. And I love this quote from Torsten Schaake Petersen, Denmark's Minister for Resilience. It's just so remarkably blunt. There's no political spin. He's basically saying, we weren't as prepared as we thought we were. which is a feeling that's probably resonating in a lot of Western capitals right now. Because what these attacks really proved at the end of the day is that hostile actors can reach in and disrupt, or even shut down, the systems we all rely on every single day. We're talking about our water, our power, our transportation, even our democratic process. These attacks blew the doors off some very real gaps in cyber defenses. And that leaves us with this one final lingering question. The events in Denmark and Germany, they're not just some far-off problem. They're a warning sign for all of us. And it really makes you wonder, if it can happen there, how resilient are the systems we depend on? How secure is our own critical infrastructure?